What is up? Coming to you live from the Cat House in Montebello, California. It's time for Dre's Geek Philosophy, the August 17th edition, episode 187, or if you're from the hood, you prefer, it's episode 187 on the motherfucking cat. What is going on? We are here 20 minutes late. I had to gather my thoughts. I had to gather a lot of data. I had to gather information so I don't sit here unprepared like I have been for the last few weeks. It is warm in the cat house today. Currently, my lovely wife and my son are at their mother's because it's so hot over here. They're going to come back over here after the podcast is over when hopefully the house is cooled down enough. I'm just going to sweat it out because I am tough. And yeah, just it provides me a quiet sound studio today, but a very lonely. I haven't seen my son. I am the sads. But I will see my son in roughly an hour or so. But I'm here and you guys can see me. And Ryan Tanaka, thank you for joining us. One of our awesome patrons. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. Hey, remember everybody I guess I should promote at the beginning of the video as well as at the end. Remember, you can always check out our YouTube page. There are new videos almost every weekday. I didn't get to put one up today because today work was incredibly busy. But there are new videos. I was going to try to do like some sort of unboxing or Nintendo video today, but I just didn't have time. The video game warehouse is very, very, very busy. It's a busy warehouse. We can't get it in time, and I put the camera in the wrong place today, so I'm going to be looking in the wrong direction all day. It's going to look like I'm staring off into the distance the entire time. Hey, but it is what it is. Yeah, so our schedule, obviously, we have our Monday night schedule. Monday nights, I'm here live on Facebook doing the podcast. Wednesdays, we have Dre Versus. That's a new series I'm going to try to be doing every single Wednesday where it's Dre versus a game. Right now, the game I am currently fighting against is Streets of Rage 4, and we'll be moving on to other games as well in that Dre versus series. I'm currently trying to draw a logo, so that way I have a nice big placard for the YouTube page, because the video goes up on YouTube, the video goes up on Instagram, goes up right here on Facebook every Wednesday night, and then Fridays we have Dre's Retro Game Minute, and hopefully I'll expand that to Dre's Retro Game Night at some point, where I will play some of my retro games. I'm making a space out at the office with my old TV and my old systems. I'm going to try to play some games for 10 to 15 minutes. But for now, we have Dre's Retro Game Minute, where, like the previous Retro Game Minutes you've seen, where I talk about a game for about 2 minutes. It's not really a minute, but hey, it's a catchy title. I like calling it the Retro Game Minute. If I move over here, it's throwing me off. Looking at the screen, and it looks like I'm looking away. So, a couple of big things happened in video games last week. It's really insane. I don't know. We'll work our way up here. So one of the big things that was announced last week was that Halo Infinite, that's supposed to be the big Halo game, which was supposed to launch with the brand new Xbox Series X, One X, whatever. It sounds like a car. I'm not enthusiastic about the new box of X. It sounds weird, but then they were supposed to have a Halo at launch, much like the original Xbox had Halo Combat Evolved. They were supposed to launch with a Halo game, but unfortunately, the nice people at 505 Industries were like, yeah, we're not going to make that deadline. I guess the deadline, which it's funny because they announced the delay first, and then Microsoft scrambled like, everyone, we're still coming out with the Xbox Series X. It's just going to come out in November, because a lot of people would have presumed, if Halo is delayed until, let's say, March of next year, then you would think, okay, then that means the Xbox Series X is not come out till March until next year. If I was them, I would just delay the system. But I'm not them. I'm not an executive where everything's tied into corporate bonuses, and I'm sure they have sales goals to hit, and I'm sure there's enough dedicated Xbox fans out there to when they put out whatever they put out this holiday, whether apparently sometime in November they're going to put out the Series X, and with a bunch of games, and as long as it's backwards compatible, everyone's going to still keep playing their old Call of Duty games on it. Because I see that at work. We sell thousands of copies of Call of Duty that were meant for the Xbox 360. They're currently playing on the Xbox One, and they're probably going to keep playing it on the Xbox Series X because that device will be backwards compatible as much as it can be which is what people want, apparently. People want to play the older games. But Microsoft's still coming out with it, but Halo Infinite will not be a launch game, which is, it's a devastating blow to them. Because beyond that, I'm sure there's some other minor exclusives that are going to come out for the Xbox, but it's primarily a Halo / Call of Duty machine. The great advantage that the Xbox 360 had over the PS3 was that their online system was a lot better. I remember whenever I bought games, I had to choose between buying games for my Xbox 360 and buying games for my PS3. I found it was easier to play with my friends on my Xbox 360 and not on my PS3. If I wanted a single-player game like Batman Arkham Asylum, I bought that for my PS3. Or LA Noire came out. I'm like, all right, I'm buying LA Noire for my PS3, not my 360. But if I was playing a multiplayer game like Borderlands, I bought that for my Xbox 360. I bought, I'm trying to think of some of the other multiplayer. Obviously, we're playing Halo when you can only play Halo on Xbox 360. But as far as multi-platform, shooting games, multiplayer stuff, I would buy that on my Xbox 360. But if it was a single-player focused game, buy it on my PS3. I had more 360 games than I had PS3. I had a good amount, but I've been cataloging them all, and I have way more 360 games. A lot more fun stuff I could play online with other people. But that was the big advantage, where Xbox actually overtook PlayStation for a small while, and then for whatever reason, there's a lot better software on PS4 and comparatively to the Xbox One, and Microsoft, for whatever reason, stumbled backwards. Honestly, I think the user interface of the Xbox One is not great. That short tour of duty I had with GameStop back in 2016, I was messing with Xbox Ones when people would trade them in. They were very annoying to use. It was very complicated. Even for an experienced, savvy gamer such as myself, I found them to be very clunky and very uncooperative, to say the least. And I can only imagine if someone who is not as savvy would look at this and be like, oh, I just put the game in. Why won't it play the game? Why can't I play my Madden or my Call of Duty? It seems very counterintuitive. You have to, I don't know if it had to be online or whatever. We tried to get the Xbox online just so we could do an update, and then the update would take forever. I'm like, all right, screw it. We're going to trade it in, and we're going to assume it works. And if it doesn't work, oh well, screw GameStop. Ha ha ha. So that was one of the big, but I guess it could be argued the bigger piece of video game news that happened last week. There is a battle between Goliaths right now. My boss, it's like Godzilla versus King Kong, and my boss is like, oh, not so much. Yeah, we have the makers of Fortnite, Epic. They have decided to go to war with Apple, because of a 30% cut that Apple takes out of their game every time someone makes a purchase. So Epic, wanting to keep all of the money or more of the money, they try to go on. Hey, thank you. They got a lead. The family's doing well. Baby's getting huge. He's gigantic. Wife is doing well. I'm as well as a crazy person can be in this world. So the people who make Fortnite, yeah, King Kong would be killed immediately. Yes, yeah, Godzilla would kill King Kong. My boss, it wasn't even King Kong versus a Godzilla. It's like Godzilla versus a smaller Godzilla. Because my boss, Apple is like this, Epic. And I was arguing, Epic is, they're worth billions of dollars. And my boss goes, well, Apple's worth trillions of dollars. Well, regardless, people are taking sides in this, where Epic wanted to try directly collect money and circumvent the App Store. They're trying to do this on purpose, because I guess they're trying to take down whatever this perceived monopoly that Apple has on money. I can't take a side in this. It's ridiculous. As soon as the Fortnite app was removed from the Apple Store, or the App Store, Apple App Store, I'm gonna say that 5 times fast. As soon as it was removed, they immediately had a lawsuit ready to fly, and they had a parody of Apple's own commercial, because Apple had a Super Bowl commercial way back when. It was Apple was fighting against the tyranny of IBM almost 40 years ago. And so Fortnite, the Epic decided to parody this. Where like, oh, instead of the image of like, oh, the oppressor, like this is very much an Orwellian 1984 thing where like there's instead of the face representing IBM, they had an Apple head with glasses, and everyone's hypnotized by this Apple screen, and then a brave Fortnite party goer goes in and throws the axe at the screen, just like in the Apple commercial when an Olympic athlete ran in and threw a hammer at the screen to break everyone's gaze. Like, oh, free Fortnite, 1980 Fortnite. And no, and then this is the line I told my boss before I left, and I wrote it down. You cannot be oppressed if you are also an oppressor. Epic is acting like, oh no, we're all suffering. We're fighting for everyone. No, you're fighting to keep an extra 30% of money. You want to keep that money. You want all the money. You want to keep it, and you're trying to get around that. And you know, Apple's no hero in this either. Charging every single app across the board 30%. They probably have to like. There needs to be some sort of compromise where these two monsters are not being both evil. They're both being evil right now. And there's no winners here. This entire situation sucks. There are no winners. The only losers are people who want to play the dumb game. They're fighting over, that's right, James. They're fighting for microtransactions. They're fighting for every 30 cents out of that dollar. Oh no, Epic. We've only made $17 billion. We could have been at 26 billion if it wasn't for darn Apple taking our money. And Apple's like, we provided it's funny because Epic years ago, like, oh yes, we are happy to pay this 30% because Apple is helping promote our product. We're across all these devices, and suddenly it's like, oh, we don't have enough. This stack of hundreds isn't big enough to fan myself. We need more money. We will fight against them. We will sue them. And yeah, so Fortnite created their own app within the app, or their own tool. Like, hey, you can buy it on the App Store. Or you can buy the V-Bucks, the currency within Fortnite. You can buy it directly from us at a discount. We'll give it to you cheaper if you buy it directly. We keep all the money. We'll give you a discount. It's dirty. It's just dirty by everyone. There are no winners. It's just losers. People are going to lose access to Fortnite because I'm sure like they removed it from the App Store. If you still have Fortnite on your iDevice, and apparently by proxy, Google did the same thing. So it's not just Apple. The Google Play Store removed it because hey, they in their terms of services. So Epic is deliberately breaking the rules of the App Store in order to bait Apple into this situation because they're trying to like prove like, oh look, it's antitrust. It's a monopoly. People can play Fortnite on their home consoles. They can play them on your Epic launcher on their computer. This isn't a monopoly. They're just trying to take more money. They just want to keep more of their money. They're alienating people. So people can still have it on their device, but the second they do an update, oh, season 2 point whatever is coming, and that update won't go out into the App Store, then you won't be able to play Fortnite. Both sides are trying to paint themselves as the good guy, but no, there's no good happening here. It's just terrible, and I don't like it. Yeah, exactly. Apple people, if you're on an iOS device, if you're on an iPhone, an iPad, or an iOS computer, when the next update, I'm shocked that Epic didn't just do like a quick bug fix update and just totally piss off their entire Apple user base immediately, just because they're obviously following some sort of playbook here, trying to piss off. Yeah. You see, right? I'm glad you went back to RPGs. Saves you money. Yeah. I remember back when I was a young man, and I would play lots of RPGs. I'd only have to buy a game every 6 months or every year or so, depending on how much time I was putting into an RPG. Yeah, this whole the microtransaction world of all this is insane. And just all this is exposing the greed that is within the game industry. The rich want to become richer, and that's what's really fucked up here. I feel like I make a lot of these same arguments and analysis each time. It's just, again, they're trying to circumvent things and just directly take money from users, from the consumers. They just want, hey, just give us the money directly and just give it to us all the time. Instead of just one $50, $60 transaction every few months, I just want you to give us money every week. Oh no, you need to buy more V-Bucks. Oh no, you need to buy more gold in your cell phone game. Oh no, you have to, or I guess the reason why Grand Theft Auto 5 is spanning into a third console generation is people keep buying those shark cards. I mean, people are using real money and buying fake money within Grand Theft Auto Online, and apparently business is big, which is why they're stretching GTA 5 into another console generation. It came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. It continued into PS4 and Xbox One, and then we know for sure it's come out for PS5. I have no doubt it's also going to come out Xbox Series. Oh, actually, maybe, or they'll do a higher definition version, because you can just stick your old Xbox 360 disc into an Xbox Series X, and then you'll still be able to play Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm sure, with no problems whatsoever. And so you can still keep microtransactioning yourself to death. It's horrifying, and that's the other big thing that happened last week. And just, I think Epic is trying to expose. Oh, they're exposing Apple for all their evil. I think what Epic's just doing is showing how shitty they really are. A lot of people don't like them because they buy up games and make them exclusive to their Epic launcher, which makes them no better than Apple. Again, like I said earlier, you can't be an oppressor if you can't be oppressed if you are also an oppressor. They are an oppressor within the gaming realm, where, oh, if you want to play this game, you have to download the Epic launcher. Yeah, all right. You got roped into 3D Sniper on your phone. Spent $40 and get yourself. Yeah, you see, they try to find people where you're vulnerable. I have not. I've been playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes on my phone for whenever Force Awakens came out. I've been playing that game, and I have resisted ever flushing a dime into that game. If Irv ever jumps on it, I was playing Supercard. I never put one dime in that game. I was motivated. I felt I was close to putting some money into that game, but I was like, no. Never let that happen. Right now, I'm currently really addicted to Marvel Strike Force, and there's times I've considered putting real money in that game. I'm like, no, what am I doing? No, this goes against everything I talk about on the podcast. No, because they make the game so you can play, you can have fun, but it's easier if you just give us a little cheddar. So like I've amassed the in-game currency slowly over time. Oh, you're on Marvel Strike Force, James? Yeah. I'll DM you later. I'll send you my ally code, and have you join my alliance, or put you on my friend. There's a friends list in Marvel Strike Force. That game is fun. I have a lot of fun with that. That's actually a phone game I actually enjoy. I've been spending more time, and I've been watching way too many YouTube videos of these semi-annoying guys talking about the game, just so I can make sure I optimize my shit. That way, the whatever time I spend on these games, because my wife constantly asks me, why do you play all these games? And I'm like, I like collecting, because in a lot of these games, like I said, it scratches that collecting itch. I'm like, I love to collect things. And those games really scratch that itch. I want to collect the players, and I get to play using these characters, and it's Marvel Comics, so I get to have a lot of fun. I play the DC one. What level am I? I'm level 70, whatever. I'm like, whatever. I'm on Dark Dimension 2, if that gives you any. I have a bunch of Gear 13 characters, so that tells you how far I am in the game. I don't know if you're further than me or not, James, but oh, you just started mid-February. I've been playing for almost a year. I've been playing for 2 years. I think I jumped on that game very early on when it came out, because I was already playing Star Wars. It was very similar to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and I was like, oh, this is a Marvel version of that collect-a game. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on it. Yeah, I think I'm level 75. I'm trying to get Black Bolt right now. It's a pain in the ass. I might have Ultron unlocked by next week. It's just, I have to like constantly keep playing this Dark Dimension 2 that I just unlocked. It's a crazy game. It's a crazy, insane game. Oh, hey, James, you dropped to Star Wars Galaxy. Yeah, I, I'm spending less and less time. I'm literally only doing the minimum of what I need to do in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes to keep it going. Just because I'm like, all right, I'll eventually get Jedi Luke Skywalker, yeah, all these games. They suck you in. So I'm addicted to them, and we're gonna talk about addictions right now because something else I did this past weekend. Um, I finally logged into the family Netflix account. I'd canceled my Netflix, and I got the family Netflix account on my phone. And I spent the entire weekend. Finally, we talked about it a little bit a while back as it was happening, but the Last Dance, the documentary about the final season of the Chicago Bulls. I've always been a big basketball fan. Not so much now, but weirdly, I feel like, especially watching this documentary, I felt my enjoyment of basketball has been rekindled. It was insane, especially around that era in the mid to late '90s. I consider myself a really big fan. I would watch ESPN all the time. I'd buy all the Street and Smith's basketball magazines so I could read about all the players. I remember how desperately bad I wanted to play fantasy basketball back in those days before I knew it was totally and horrible, the worst thing that you could do if you're a basketball fan. But I didn't know. I'd hear about fantasy basketball. People would play the hard way. I ran a fantasy basketball league in 1997 with me and my friends. We did it without the internet. It was me, a subscription to the Los Angeles Times, and a whole lot of notebooks. And I did all the stats because I was insane. I totally failed an anthropology class at Pasadena City College because I was more obsessed with tracking all the stats for our 10-man fantasy basketball league because that's how bad I wanted to play it. So again, I'm just trying to preface here how big of a basketball fan I was. And watching this documentary, I realized I did not pay attention to certain things well enough. I guess I didn't watch ESPN enough to realize all the craziness that was around all of those Chicago Bulls teams. I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff that was barely revealed in this documentary, but then they keep showing clips from ESPN and of that era. I'm like, how did I miss this stuff? I loved basketball I was so obsessed in high school. The teachers would take my basketball magazines away. I've subscribed to freaking what was it? The stupid Slam magazine. I guess at that point I was game, but at least for those early '90s Bulls, I didn't know a lot of that drama. I didn't read the Jordan Rules, which they talked about. Because there was the Jordan Rules, what the Detroit Pistons, what they would do to Michael Jordan, how they would physically assault him, basically. There was no real internet or TMZ back then, yeah. But I clearly some writers were covering this. I didn't. Well, I guess I was in LA, so I didn't have the Chicago newspapers to hear all the stories. They weren't talking about that kind of stuff here in the LA Times. They're just talking about the Lakers here. Whatever I read in the Los Angeles Times when I was a young man. But watching this documentary, I haven't finished it. I think I've got 7 episodes. I was desperately trying to finish any free moment I had this past weekend, whether I was washing dishes or putting the baby to sleep or just any time I had my phone right there and I was like watching this documentary. And it's just, if you hadn't had a chance, because before it was on ESPN. I don't have cable here. Or you had to subscribe to ESPN Plus, which we have too many streaming services already. But thankfully, I guess, within it was a week or two ago, or within the last month, they added The Last Dance to Netflix. Netflix got the streaming rights to it, and now I've been consuming it. And good God, I mean, because everyone talked about it when it was coming on. I know we did updates. One of our viewers, Ryan Diaz, would message me what would happen in the episodes. He would kind of briefly talk about some of the funny stuff, like the episode I watched this morning where they were showing how one of the younger Bulls players in the second 3P team, Scott Burrell, was constantly verbally berated by Jordan. Jordan was trying to he was motivating him, but he was but Jordan was an asshole about it. He was just constantly just trying to get him to fight him. He was shitting on him verbally. He was treating him horribly. He'd embarrass him in front of the other players. But that was Michael Jordan's weird way of motivating people. And so, like, the documentary, it's amazing. In fact, like, so the first four episodes, they each of them seem very more topical. The first episode, all about Michael Jordan, how he grew up and his evolution. The second episode covered Scottie Pippen, showed him. Yeah, that was honestly, I think the Pippen episode was incredibly fascinating because all I knew about Scottie Pippen was like he was always, Michael's sidekick. He was a really good player in his own right, but he was always his sidekick. And then all that. The only big thing I knew about Scottie Pippen, he did not tip well. He was no tipping Pippen. I remember some of my basketball friends from in high school. That's what they'd always refer to him because he was a very poor tipper. But I guess that would be because he spent his entire Chicago Bulls career as like the sixth or seventh worst paid player on the team, even though he was like the second best player on the team, and in some respects the second best player in the league. But he was being paid. He was paid a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, he was well off, but he was not paid like some of the other players. Like there was probably guys sitting on the bench making more than him. In commensurate to he signed a that's right, 7 years, $18 million, which at the time, in 1990, it probably seemed like a good idea. But I'm sure Jerry Reinsdorf, and it was funny because even the owner, he said, "This is a bad deal. You shouldn't sign it." But he signed it nevertheless. He was making less. Yeah, right there. You see, those less than $3 million a year for a play where other players were commanding like $10, $12 million a year. Even Jordan himself was on a bad contract as well. And but the other thing that really struck me the most, I think he spent a lot of his money on his family. I didn't realize his father had a stroke and was wheelchair bound the rest of his life. One of his 11 brothers and sisters, had a wrestling accident and was paralyzed from the waist down, and he was in a wheelchair, and he lived in a home with multiple disabled people, and he just was constantly fighting to do better. He wanted to make the NBA, but he was too short at first when he was in college, and then he had his growth spurt in college. Obviously, the stuff is maybe painting him in a very positive light, but it was still fascinating nonetheless. All this stuff, stuff that I didn't know, stuff that I didn't research. Obviously, these players existed before, like as James said earlier on Facebook Live here. There's no internet or TMZ back then. And if you don't know the premise of this, the documentary is like, in the 97-98 season, they had a camera crew or maybe it was 96-97. I'm trying to remember exactly. Whatever the final year of the Bulls was, there was a camera crew following them around. I guess they had allowed following Michael Jordan around specifically, I guess, but they were just following the Bulls around, and you get to see who he was. And I guess clearly it took 20 years to put all this footage together and then gather interviews and talk to all the 98 Bulls. Thank you. Yes, it was the 97-98. That was the final year of the quote-unquote dynasty. Thank you, Warren. And they allowed this crazy access. Like there's one scene in an episode I watched this morning where you just see Scotty and Ron Harper and Michael Jordan. They're just sitting in the training room. They're all dressed up. They're dressed up in their suits, and it's after the game. They're all drinking beers. It's funny. I love the choice of whoever the director or who the editor is. Like they showed that footage just in black and white. Because I feel like this is stuff that we shouldn't be seeing. I think that's a frequent tool that they use throughout the documentary, where like if it's a piece of footage, like, you know what, you really shouldn't be seeing this, they would turn it to black and white. That would be my assumption as to why they would show it that way. It's like, so they're all sitting back there drinking beers, they're drinking Miller Lights, and then Scotty's like, "Get that camera out of here! They can't be showing us drinking beers after the game." And then Jordan goes, "Fuck that." It's like, you hear 10 years ago, some of the players would be drinking in the middle of the game at halftime. They'd be smoking cigarettes. And he yells outside, "Hey, does anybody got any cigarettes?" And then, like, it was just that it was so crazy to see, how human these guys are. Because the one whole episode dealt with, how Jordan was this larger than life president. The '92 Olympics made him into a global icon, and then after that, everyone. Like, I didn't realize how much people were trying to bring him down. Like, as a Laker fan, I was no fan of of Michael Jordan in my youth. Again, like, you have the winners, and you always want to see the winners. So now, once a team or an individual is so successful, you want to see them fail. That's like the crux of my hate for the New England Patriots. But the Chicago Bulls of that era, of that decade, of the '90s. That's how I guess. At the end of I'm sure at the end of both repeats, because that's the other fascinating thing that this documentary does. It keeps bouncing back and forth between eras. I guess I keep cutting myself off because there's so much going on in this documentary. Like I said, I haven't even finished it. I'm only on the 7th or 8th episode out of 10. Like I said, the first 4, like I said, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. That was another crazy episode. And then one all about Phil Jackson. You learn how much Native American influence and Zen Buddhism, because we always knew that, he's very odd man. Like, showing his playing career, showing him coaching in Europe. Yes, I also agree there. Jai, fuck Tom Brady. And you see this fascinating, like, look behind a lot of these. Like, you get to see stuff you had not seen. You've heard certain things about these players. You get to see some of the crazy shit. Like in the Rodman episode, they show him partying in Vegas. I think the funniest part is like the end of the Rodman episode, and it leads into the Phil Jackson episode. All right, they let Rodman go have 48 hours in Las Vegas to go blow off some steam because he another fascinating, like he needed to find different motivations. I guess I don't know if he just needed to fuck up and to have something to make up for, like if he felt if he had to go to Vegas and just break all the rules and like he promised he'd be back in 40 hours and Jordan's like he's not coming back. And I don't know if he had to break the rules to feel bad and come back and play hard to make up for fucking up. I don't know if that was like his motivation. In that same Rodman episode, they show because Scotty was sitting out the beginning of that 97-98 season with an injury, and the Bulls were struggling, and Jordan had to light a fire in Rodman's ass, and Rodman felt, okay, cool, I'm going to play harder because I'm helping you, Michael. And then as soon as Pippen comes back, that's where Rodman's like, oh, I guess I'm useless now. I got to go fuck up and I got to go be me. And just that mentality, because they show him when he was younger how everyone just assumes he's like this crazy person, but he's crazy in a very interesting way. Like they show him how he's just sitting there watching tape and studying all the other players, and that's why it made him such a great defensive player. And how he talked about how the way the ball is shot, and he understands like the way a certain player shoots, he knows the trajectory of the rebound depending on how they're shooting, and just the in-depth knowledge, like this beautiful, like this weird beautiful mind of Dennis Rodman. But he I guess he only thrived under negative reinforcement. It's insane to delve into the psyche, and then you see a modern day interview with him, and he's like owning up to it, and it's wild. Like I said, I've been obsessed with this documentary. And of course, yeah. So his first 4 episodes, and then it leads into the Dream Team. They keep going back and forth, where they build him up. He gets built up as this icon, and gets torn down. This sports writer Sam Smith writes this book called The Jordan Rules, where it's I guess a lot of players anonymously talked about how he was just like this tyrant. He's a crazy man, and then you get to see he's. I kept telling my wife, like, I think Michael Jordan's a bit of a sociopath. I mean, not in like the kind of like not like in a serial killer, but like his brain is not the same as normal people. I mean, that obviously that driving force, like he is so competitive. That's what drives him to be the best. He can't stand losing, and that's where it feeds into the gambling. Because I was telling my wife earlier on, I was watching the early episodes. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna talk about the gambling thing and how like the secret suspension. Like Michael Jordan didn't really retire. He was secretly suspended by David Stern because he was involved in all these illegal stuff involving this other these gambling rings, and he was racking up tens of thousands of dollars of debt to these bookies, and then there was an episode 6 or episode 7, where they talk about it like this, like the fall of Jordan. They keep bouncing back and forth. They go back to 1993, and they talk about a lot of that, and they show how he gave this notorious gambler or bookie, he had to cut him a check of $57,000, and when he was initially pressed about it, oh no, that was a loan. But then this guy gets brought up on charges, and Michael Jordan has to go in and testify, and so he has to say, oh no, I said it was a loan, but I owed him $57,000 for gambling debts. It's like, whoa. It's like, because he's always been notorious for, he's so competitive. And then one of the NBA writers, David Aldridge, he puts it really into context. It's like yeah, he likes to gamble, but $10,000 to him, it would be like $10 to us. Like, okay, like when I was younger, when I was in high school, I'd gamble. Okay, we play cards, or we bet on sporting events in high school. But yeah, we're putting $5-10 down. Like, I could survive. Okay, I don't eat lunch one day if I lose this bet, but if I win this bet, cool. I'm gonna go buy some stupid shit for lunch. But to him, like 10K, like he could drop 10K, and he won't even notice it. And I guess that's the context. Like, you have to understand. That's what he said. Like, he's good for it. If he loses 10 G's, he's good for it. But it honestly, it isn't even about how much money he has, because there was another fascinating story where they were talking about how the Bulls would be on the team plane, and so the back of the plane, you have the players who are playing for big money. You'd have Jordan and Pitt, well, I don't know if it was Pitt, but some of the other players, like Ron Harper or so, they'd be in the back of the plane, and they're playing for big money. They're playing hands, like $1,000 hands. But then some of the other players were in the front of the plane, and they're just playing blackjack for like $1. They're just doing it to pass the time, because NBA players, they play for 2 hours, but all the other time around, they're just either practicing or killing time or hiding or heaven knows what. And so they're just killing time on the team plane, flying. And then Michael Jordan comes over and wants to play with them. And I think it was John Paxson who says, "Why do you want to play with us, Michael? We're only playing for $1. And then Michael goes, "I want your money in my wallet." He wants to win so much. He doesn't care that, like, oh, the dollar means nothing to him, but he just wants it. He wants to win. There's another sequence. They show him, he's playing quarters with the security guards from the United Center, and they're playing like $20, and it's like, all right, they're playing quarters, bouncing the quarter off the wall, and you see he loses $20, but like, he doesn't care that he lost the 20. He's mad that he lost. He's enraged that he lost his $20 bill to the security guard. You see, he is angry about it. You feel the energy from him. I was talking about this with my boss, and my boss was like, yeah, he's a bad person. I mean, he's not. That's the thing. He's not a bad person. He's not going actively out and harming people, but he's not a good person either. He's got some demons in his soul, but thankfully for him, he is successful enough that he can work through these demons financially. It's the and Jai with a quote from Friday. It's the principle of things, smoking. Big worm. He's a dick. Yeah. He's not a monster, but he's a dick. He's a jerk. And then they kind of hammer that home, where it's like, no, he's human. Like the stuff that was coming out about him in '93. We're like, oh, we built him up to be this deity. In '92 at the Olympics, he's the big star. He's like, everyone like loves Michael Jordan. And then '93, year after, it's like all of a sudden, oh, he's a gambler. Oh, they lost a playoff game because he went to Atlantic City to gamble all night. It's insane. And to him, it's like, it's nothing. We didn't stay out all night. Went for a few hours, came back, got my mind off of basketball. It's just, yeah, he's that. To put it simply, yes, he's a dick. To see his reactions to a lot of things, like that just triggered another thought. I'm free flowing this all from the memory. The Dream Team, like he and Isaiah Thomas don't like each other. Well, frankly, a lot of players did not like Isaiah Thomas. I'm sure it's no secret. The Lakers, Magic Johnson, did not like. They played their friends, but I think in 1992 they did not like each other. Larry Bird with the Celtics did not like the Pistons because the Pistons were assholes. They made a big point to make sure everybody knew the Pistons of the late 80s, early 90s were the bad boys. The violent basketball that was played. If the kids who are fans of basketball today go back and watch some of that stuff, it's literally there were literally fights happening in the game, and they would just call a foul. Like, all right, that guy just punched the other guy in the face. If that happens today, it's like a multiple game suspension. It's a giant controversy. Like, oh my God, he hit him. He hit him. I mean, the only time anyone got really suspended back in the day was when Kermit Washington broke frickin' Rudy Tomjanov's face. Like, he literally broke his face. And like, all right, we're going to have to suspend you for like 20 games because that was really bad. But if there's just a little fisticuffs, nobody gets hurt, okay, we're just going to call a foul and we'll move on. It took great bodily harm back then. If you go Google a clip of Kurt Rambis being fouled by the Celtics, that gives you a good idea of what 80s and 70s basketball is like. It was just physical harm. People hitting the shit out of each other. And then you see how like Michael Jordan had to adapt to that in that era. But original point. I went off on a tangent there. Check the clock here. I need to shut this off so the family can come home. He hated Isaiah Thomas, and it was inferred that he and maybe some of the other players kept Isaiah Thomas off that dream team. I don't know who would have come off. I don't know if maybe they had a lot of forwards. They only had one point guard, Magic Johnson. Like, Isaiah Thomas was one of the best point guards in the NBA. He helped get that bad boys team to 2 NBA titles. But he felt that he had they go to modern day Isaiah. He's like, I had the credentials. He was on Dream Team 2, not as good. the FIBA World Championships team. And then I remember there was Dream Team 1, Dream Team 2, which wasn't a good, Dream Team 3, which took some of the best players from Dream Team 2 and moved them up. They moved Shaq and Jason Kidd up into the Dream Team status for that 96 Olympics. And after that, I don't know if they could call them Dream Teams anymore, especially that one team that totally blew it. I believe in the Sydney Games. But yeah, just it's whole documentary. If you haven't watched it already, John Stockton, thank you. That's who I was trying to remember. Like, who is the other point guard? And I'm like, I forgot Stockton and Malone were a part of the Dream Team. Yeah, Stockton would not have made the team if they were to get a different point guard. I couldn't remember who the other point guard was on the team. Thank you, Warren. I'm glad your memory is much better than mine. My brain has taken too many concussions, and I'm starting to lose information here without researching it. Yeah, Christian Laettner shouldn't have been on that team. But yeah, if you haven't seen this documentary, I highly recommend it. I know this was like, it's old news. People were watching it during the early parts of the pandemic, or even before the pandemic. I forget when the original airing of this was on ESPN. But now, if you know, your average Netflix user can have access to it. The 04 team lost the gold. Okay, thank you. It wasn't 2000. It was 04. See? Like I said, I used to be a steel trap for facts. Not anymore. CTE. Stockton claimed every Olympic game ball. Ha! How funny. He took them all home. Crazy ass Stockton, the pasty gangster. I call Stockton the pasty gangster because one of my favorite radio shows would always talk about how, like, the man was the very unassuming man putting elbows and knees into every player. You go back and watch Stockton play, sharp elbows going into everybody. He just like breaking ribs and giving out Charlie horses with his old white man elbows and knees into everybody. He was the old man at the gym, but in the NBA. That's how he lasted as long as he did playing basketball. Played like an old man going all the way back to the early part of his career. See, that's some of the weird shit I remember. The file cabinets up here, some of them are complete, some of them are not complete. I go open a drawer, information, whatever reason I had that information about John Stockton. Olympic gold, yeah. I was like, oh, that drawer's empty. But I see it's 9 o'clock already. It's 9:05. Let's wrap this up. Again, yeah, highest possible recommendation. I'm going to try to squeeze in the other 2.5 episodes I still have left and maybe I'll do a post-mortem of that next week on the show here. But thank you guys for watching and commenting. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Jai. James. Make sure I got everybody who was commenting. Adelaide Sanchez. Everybody who's commenting on the show, hitting like. Thank you for watching. Be sure to share. Be sure to like. Be sure to do all that stuff. Remember, you follow us on social media at DreGP Podcast. That works on Instagram. That works on Twitter. Remember, find us on YouTube, Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. There's a lot of videos going up there as well. I'm putting up the classic episodes of the podcast, a lot of the old stuff. The old episodes of the Multiverse Comic Show are going up on the YouTube page. And, of course, brand new videos. I'm trying to put 2 to 3 new videos a week up on the YouTube as well. Be sure to check that out. Subscribe on there as well. We have 24 subscribers. We're only freaking 9,976 away from monetizing our YouTube channel. Slowly but surely. Make sure you check us out there as well. And of course, keep checking us out here on Facebook as well. We'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back. We'll have a new Dre versus, probably another bout of me versus Streets of Rage 4. Will show up on Wednesday. I don't know what video I might throw up. Well, we'll see what video I throw up tomorrow on the YouTube. I'm trying to throw up a video every day. We'll see what happens. Catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching.